Hey Stampin' friends, welcome to the Joy Stamping with Rachel. I'm Rachael Coon and today is our Fun Fold Friday. Today I'm combining two stamp sets, one that just recently came out in the mini catalog and the other one is part of the celebration that's currently going on from January till February, and it's a free product you can get with a $50 order. Go ahead and hold I flip and we'll get started. Right. Shift everything so you can see it a little bit better. What I love most about Fun Fold Fridays, or what's fun for me, is when I hear from you. So one lucky person who comments between now and midnight will receive the card that I made in the video after you place a comment. It can be, hey, I love that stamp set, or just a simple, hi, Rachel, and I will have your name in the drawing to be one of our lucky winners of the day. If you are ordering from me online this month, please use the Hostess Code if it's under $150 worth in your total order, and I will send you some happy mail. Just use that code at checkout. Our card today was actually inspired by a swap I recently got. So let me show both of them side by side so you can see how similar they are and how I just made it a little different. The big differences of this one is the color. It's exact same Fun Fold. I use different DSP, different inks, and different stamping blends. But other than that, it is the same Fun Fold. So I love doing that with cards where you are inspired by someone else and you just change it up to use it with the supplies you have. This one was made by Kim Williams, who was part of a swap I did in December. Okay, let's get closer to this one, give you a little bit more details and show you a little bit better. So we are using two stamp sets. This is the Decorative Borders right here that we have, and what makes it fun, it has this really cool long and narrow center here. That is where our card will open up and close. Let me go ahead and get closer so we read what it says. And the sayings come from the Celebration stamp set called Sending Support. This is for free with a $50 order during Celebration. The paper is a $100 product order from Celebration. Let me show you that one. It's called Dandy Designs, and when you place a $100 order, you can get 48 sheets of crazy spring beautiful paper here. So these two items are free when you order if they're $50 worth or $100 worth. If you want them both, you need to order at least $150 worth. Okay. What I love about this card is that we have some great sayings. So it says, some days are harder than others. And the inside it says, it's okay not to feel okay. Along with this one, we're going to change up our sayings for our card today, but I just wanted to show you some of the other ones that are in this one. And I wanted to show you as well that this has no words at all, so it can be paired with any stamp set greetings, or it can be just left alone with the images. And this one has no images at all and is easy to pair with any DSP or any stamp set that has images as well. All right, so let me go over some of these sayings real quick and show you the ones we're going to use today. I still like that some days are harder than others. And then we're going to send, and the inside, we're going to have this sending loving thoughts and prayers. The hope today is one of the easier ones, would have worked great as well for that one. And there's just so many great supportive sayings here. This one's one of my favorite. Courage is being really scared and doing it anyway. You've got this, and of course, it's okay not to feel okay. We have a lot going on in my family right now, and so any type of support that we can be sent by cards or by phone calls is definitely needed at this time in our lives. So I love that there's a stamp set that goes along with that. All right, let's go ahead and start making this card. It is really simple, actually. I will have all of the measurements over on my blog, so if I don't say them now, don't worry, you can catch it over there later. Let's grab our pieces out. So what we're going to start with is a balmy blue bottom. See that 3 times fast? No. This is just a quarter of a piece of cardstock, so that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then we're going to have this long piece here that has our score, and that is the 10 1/2. Scored at 5 1/4, and it's 2 1/4 inches wide. Then we have our pieces of DSP, which are just 5 1/4 by 3/4 that we'll place on the top and bottom, and then our 2 pieces of basic white that are the same. These ones are measuring at the 5 1/4 by 2 inch, but we might have to trim off just a little as we go on. Let's go ahead and get our stamping done first with these pieces here. And I have 2 different stamp sets we're using that have 2 different styles of stamps. Let me show you what I mean by that. So what we'll need is a scrap of paper and my foam mat here, because we're going to use a photopolymer stamp set. So I'm going to put my basic white down. I'm going to grab my Decorative Borders right here. It has this beautiful kind of like a vine looking leafy scene here. And we're going to use our balmy blue. I need that a little extra cushion just to make it an even stamping experience. Let me scoot this over just a little bit so we can get our ink pad in here. I don't like to have my ink pad on the foam mat because I want it to have it firmly on something that's hard so that I can ink it up evenly as well. All right, but we are also doing a stamp off method for this one. We're going to ink it up and then we're going to stamp it off onto our grid sheet. So we'll go ahead and do a little bit of inking like that. We're going to stamp it above to stamp it off, and I'm going to come over here and just create a little bit of border on the top there. We'll do the same thing for the other one. However, I'm going to turn my stamp over so that my vines will have a different direction on this next one. And I'm going to have them line up just about where they meet there. There we go. We're going to do the same thing for the bottom, but this time I'm not going to have I'm going to have my ends on the end and my centers meeting here. Again, we're stamping off, and then we'll have this one go right about there, creating kind of a center spot here where they will meet. Ink it up, turn it over for the other side, stamp off, and press down. Get as close as you can to that border there because we want to keep the center clear for our next part. While I have this out, I'm going to grab my other piece of basic white, and we're going to do just a little bit of inside stamping with this cute kind of like a lacy piece we have here. So it's like an end of a border. This one you can do either full on without stamping off or stamp off depending on what shade of blue you want. We did lighter since we wanted to have the focal point more the center image. I'm not going to stamp this one off so you can kind of see what that balmy blue true color is. But I'm just going to go here on the very end and press down. And there we go. Super pretty. Look at that. And we might have to trim a little bit off later, and that's totally fine. Okay, we should be done with our balmy blue now, and then we get out our Memento ink. Our Memento ink is important to note and not like a permanent ink because we need a water-based ink when we use our stamping blends. Now we can remove our foam though, and we are going to be using, oh, I lied. Sorry, one more image. It's just our sayings that are in the cling style. So we just do one more right here with our giant piece here. This is a, let's see, this is a eye block. Looking at it right here. It's hard as, there we go. An eye block. So this is a fairly large stamp right here. It's about, let's see, almost 5 inches wide. So it is a long stamp. We're going to ink it up really nice and good in our Memento. And then we're going to flip it because I like that top flower to be on the top of the image and go center. Line up, press down, and do a clean lift off. There we go. Looks pretty good. Then we're going to grab, now we can remove the foam mat and we'll grab our greetings. We're going to also do those in those Memento ink. So this one, we are using the Some Days Are Harder Than Others. We'll ink that up. I haven't inked it up lately, so I'm going to do a quick check. Looks pretty good. And we're going to set that right underneath here. Perfect. We're going to grab our Sending Love in Thoughts and Prayers. I have not inked this one up at all yet, so we'll definitely do a practice. Looks pretty good. Let me do one more. My S was a little bit, there we go. A little bit squiggly there, or blurry. It might have just been the way I lifted it up too. And this will be the center inside. Perfect. All right. We have our stamped greetings on there. I'm going to set this one aside because we're going to use this one now to do some coloring. Put away our Memento ink, and we're going to grab out 4 blends. These are 4 different colors, but they're all in the shades of light. So I have our Tahitian Tide, I have our Balmy Blue Light, our Soft Succulent, and our Evening Evergreen. We're going to go ahead and do the center of our little flowers first. And it's up to you. I usually like to use the bigger brush in when I'm doing larger spots. So since we're coloring these larger ones, I'm going to just kind of go over it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can leave some white space if you want. I usually leave a little bit white space on that top flower here. And then if you're careful, you don't have to switch over your nub and just go over the other flowers here. These ones I'll color in completely, and we'll go back over with just a little bit of that Tahitian Tide. Find each of these flowers. There we go, and that should be all of them. There should be 2 on one side, 3 on the other, and there's 2 in the center. Sometimes it's hard to see until they're colored, actually. All right, now we're going to take this one. We're going to use a little nub side here instead of the brush, because we're going to just do a little bit more outlining. We're going to go around what would be the center of this one that's underneath. Color that one in. And then we're going to go the center of this guy. Still leaving that white space, though, there, too. And just kind of do a little short brushes there. And then we're going to get a little bit darker on our bottoms of these ones. Don't color it all in, but just highlight some of those ends. A little bit there, and the very end of that flower. All right. When we get closer, you can kind of see the difference so far, where the light and the dark shades of blue are. Next, we're going to start with our light, with our Soft Succulent. These one, I'm going to use just the nub because these leaves are a lot smaller. Tip, you can always put your cap on the back so you don't lose it when you are getting ready to color. Because that's the worst thing you could do with these ones is lose that lid, because once it's gone, these will dry out. So do not lose them. And these ones I can color on full on without any huge hesitation. I'm not worrying about coloring the kind of like the vine look here. I'm just working on the leaves. Like this part right here, I totally could add some color to it, but we're gonna leave that blank today. Grab all the little ones, and then the big ones, of course. Okay, that looks pretty good for that color. And I could totally leave it alone just like that, and it would be gorgeous. But we're gonna add just a little bit more detail by adding the Evening Evergreen to where the little black lines are. So on leaves, you'll see that they have kind of like a center line. We're gonna just go over each one of those and add color over it. Just kind of outlining it. And that makes for an easy extra touch with knowing, without having to think where we should color. Right? And it goes pretty fast. Okay. There we go. Let me get closer so you see a little bit more pop there. And that is it. All we have to do now is just assemble. So let's grab our pieces in. For this one might need to be trimmed a little bit, so it's exactly the match. What I did last time though is that I added it to this to be flush, but if you want to make sure it's flush to that score line, you just put it closely there when you glue it down, and then you can trim off that side if you want. I'm going to continue with, I want it to have that kind of wrap around look, so I'm going to go on the edge here and not do any cut off though. I'm using just a little bit of liquid glue, mostly because I want some wiggle room for this one to create our top and bottom border here. Okay. See, oops, see, I'm wiggling it. I need just to push it down just a little bit more. There we go, that looks pretty good. Then we're going to flip it in the inside, and then we'll go ahead and add some liquid glue to this one. Put that to the edge of our score line here, and then line it up there. And I think I'll have just a little bit of overage, not too bad. Grab our bone folder, close this up. You see where that comes up a little bit there, but I'm totally okay with that. There we go. You see that extra little lip there? It will be hidden nicely with our balmy blue on the bottom. I am going to take my paper snips though and just trim off this edge where that white is showing through on the back side. And then we should be able to just attach these things. For this one, I do recommend doing your DSP attaching first, the top and the bottom, and then we'll center our main part based off of these placements. So there's no measurement needed for this step here. You could just eyeball these two and then add your center. Again, liquid glue, because I need to shimmy that over a little bit. See that? We want borders in all ends. In my stamping, I need a lot of forgiveness. So liquid glue has been my go-to for a couple years now. I used to be afraid of it because it would make me sticky, because I wasn't a careful stamper either, so I always would have sticky fingers. But I've learned to embrace the stick and just be okay with having the forgiveness instead. And then I can always wash my hands, right? That's not a big deal. All right, liquid glue on the back here. Then we can go ahead and line it up so that way it looks like it's centered onto here. It's looking pretty good. Okay, all we have to do now is just a little embellishing. Let's grab our glossy dots. You can grab anything you want. I think she used an iridescent gem on hers, which are super pretty, and kind of just pick up the color that she uses. So that's the thought. I went with more of a blue matchy one. I'm going to take the larger of the glossy dots and put that on my, maybe, might grab, there we go. Grab my take a pic tool maybe. We just might. I'm dropping this all over the place. Here we go. And we'll put that in the center of that top flower. Then we'll grab the two little ones from the top side of here. Let me grab my take a pic tool because these are very slippery. I mean, I might be able to do it if I take it off of the mat. Hold on. There we go. We need to bend it to get it off. Set one on one viney side and set it a little bit lower, but on the other side. So it kind of has like a curve with it. And there you go. And there we have our beautiful sending support card with our decorative borders, fun fold with our saying in the inside there. Oh, I love how that turned out. All right, you guys, I hope you've learned something new today and give this fun fold a try. Please don't forget to comment before midnight and you might be the lucky winner of our card today. Happy stamping, everyone. Goodbye.